Hey guys, this is Twin Peaks Twin Perspective. I'm Joe, and right now I want to talk about the Twin Peaks community and maybe more specifically the Twin Peaks podcasts and other videos you can watch breaking down Twin Peaks. So, I listened to a podcast today, and I'm not going to say any names. Full spoilers, by the way, everything Twin Peaks. No names, but everybody in this podcast hated Part 8, and you could tell. And it's funny because they went under a name that is pretty synonymous with the series. And you would think that, these guys are just great fans of the series, so they're going to do a good podcast. And it was almost as if the entire Part 8, that entire effort was foreign to them, as if they didn't expect it or something like that. That's why I want to talk about the community. Twin Peaks is a different kind of show from a lot of the other shows. A lot of people that don't know about Twin Peaks, when I tell them it has a following to rival that of Star Trek, they laugh. They don't believe me, and then I tell them there's festivals held, worldwide and every year, and I think it's proof now that it's back on television after 25 years or so, 27 years, that there's a following for it. And it's a passionate group. We like Twin Peaks probably more than the other shows, and we dress like the characters and talk like the characters, and we emulate them, and we find similarities like the cigarette smoking and the coffee. Well, the original Twin Peaks had cigarette smokers in it. Goodness gracious. Everybody was lighting up. It was in the cafe and in the Roadhouse. Not the Bang Bang Bar, the Roadhouse. And, okay, back to my point. So, we're all passionate about Twin Peaks. And when you're so passionate about a show that isn't even on television for decades, you're still passionate about it, and a lot of it left to your own devices, and you become attached to it. It becomes personal to you because these are your reflections on it. That's the beauty of David Lynch's work, and specifically Mark Frost and David Lynch for Twin Peaks. But really evident in Lynch's work, what he does is he presents things to you using imagery, and then a lot of it is left up to your own interpretation, your own imagination. Some people are more imaginative than others, and those that don't have a lot of imagination won't like the show. They want everything like you hear. They want everything spoon-fed to them. The lowest common denominator. There's nothing wrong with enjoying procedural crime dramas, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying soap operas either. And Twin Peaks had that beautiful blend where if you enjoyed horror, or if you enjoyed comedy, or if you enjoyed soap operas, or if you enjoyed crime dramas, there was a little bit of something for just about everybody. But there was one thing you had to enjoy, and that is weirdness. Then you had to be imaginative. You had to come up with a lot of it on your own. Lynch isn't going to tell you the specifics about everything. And Mark Frost creates these incredible characters with so much depth, and it's so easy to fall in love with them. Then Lynch creates some extremely memorable characters as well. So we all fall in love with the story, and we all have years and years and years to think about it, and it becomes personal to us. And now that it's back in the version of The Return, it seems that the community doesn't know how to act about it sometimes. I mean, some people are in a full panic. Like, for instance, this podcast I listen to. Obviously, Twin Peaks fans that are disappointed in the return, probably because it's just too Lynch for them, or because it's not exactly like the original. I would have been fine with any of it. If the return would have started with a body washing up on shore, you know, perhaps The Secret History of Twin Peaks, the book by Mark Frost, would have revealed that how Agent Cooper escaped the Black Lodge. Perhaps we would have never seen anything concerning that. Perhaps that's how it would have gone down, where it's all resolved in the book, and then we can just start season 3 with a new body and a new investigation for good old Dale. You know, and that's what a lot of people expected, and we do, because we all love the show so much and because we waited so long for it. We all had our expectations, and we had a long time to think about it. We had a long time to wish, and some of these wishes are not being fulfilled right now. I think ultimately, in the end, everybody's going to be satisfied. But if you're not a David Lynch fan, then it's hard for me to sympathize with you. Because in my opinion, if you're not a fan of Frost and Lynch and those two and that pure essence of Twin Peaks, then you're probably a fan of the other writers and the other directors who helmed the show for a long time. And you know, ultimately it goes back to Frost and Lynch. I don't know if there was a Bible there that directed the writers and directors, you know, on what they had to stick to. I seriously doubt there was anything like that because of the secrecy of the show, and, you know, most of it just in the mind of Lynch and Frost. But we had years and years and expectations, and my 3 biggest gripes upon approaching the new series. I was thinking to myself, okay, the only way this is going to be bad for me is if there's a doppelganger instead of Cooper. I was under the impression this was the real Cooper who escaped the lodge, and he was possessed by Bob. So I thought we were going to get moments of real Dale, and then nighttime would come, and we'd have these moments of we're not quite sure what he did or what happened or where he went or whatever. I was thinking it could be something like that. But I thought, if they make it a separate entity altogether, a doppelganger, that's just going to get so weird, and you know, it brings in the whole, okay, so Leland wasn't a doppelganger, and yada yada. So anyway, that was gripe A. I was thinking to myself, I sure hope it isn't a doppelganger. Potential gripe B, please let it focus on Twin Peaks, the town, a lot. Let's not go to too many different places. I enjoyed Fire Walk with Me immensely. So we see Philadelphia, and we see Deer Meadow, and then we spend most of the movie in Twin Peaks. So I'm thinking, as long as we don't bounce around all over the place and make this a national thing, you know, it should be okay. That was potential gripe number, letter B. Potential gripe C, I think the other thing that would have bothered me would be lack of music by Badalamenti. I thought to myself, Twin Peaks was wall-to-wall music. I love David Lynch's sound effects, but I hope that there's a whole new beautiful soundtrack, much like Fire Walk with Me, where you paid homage to the series and you heard songs from the series, but the majority of the music was brand new and fit the tone beautifully of the film. And that soundtrack is really a companion piece to the Twin Peaks soundtrack. And you know, there's a second Twin Peaks soundtrack for season 2 and that's amazing as well. If you guys don't have that, you have to get that. A lot of that music is being used in The Return, and people don't recognize it. I've heard a lot of podcasts and videos talk about how The Return hasn't been using Badalamenti's music at all, and that's just not true. The style of the music is a little different. It goes hand in hand with Lynch's sound effects seamlessly. Sometimes you don't know if you're listening to a sound effect or if it's just a maddening deep tone from Badalamenti, but I imagine a lot of it is Badalamenti. And then we had essences of the old themes. Hawk walking through the woods when he was approaching Glastonbury and speaking to the log lady on the phone. You know, that was a big piece, a Black Lodge piece from the second season. And no one ever mentions that. They always say the only themes they hear are the opening theme and Laura's theme when Bobby sees the picture. Deputy Briggs sees the picture. So that was another thing that happened for me. So, you know, my expectations were thrown out of the window from the get-go. I mean, come on. It's a doppelganger, Joe. Okay. Oh, let's go to New York. Let's go to Las Vegas. Let's go to South Dakota. Well, we might spend some time in Philadelphia. Wait, we got to go to Virginia because the Pentagon's there. And don't forget Buenos Aires. So we're all over the place. And yeah, the Badalamenti score is completely absent. You know, I mentioned it's there more than people are giving it credit for, but it's definitely a series driven by sound. And you know, as soon as those expectations weren't met, I felt a sense of disappointment. And then I remembered, with David Lynch movies, you have to watch them more than once. You get a different feeling every time you watch it. And you pick up on other things more and more as you watch it. And it's a freaky thing because this happens a lot when I'm watching David Lynch movies, where I will see something when I watch it the first time, and it means little to nothing to me. I have a feeling about it, but there's no concrete anything. And then later there's a revelation when you watch the second time. You make a connection, and either it clarifies the narrative or it just makes more sense to you. With Lynch, he'll show me something and I don't know how to feel about it, but there's something there, and then he'll show me something later in the movie that brings that scene back around, and then the second time you see it, you know what happens in the end, so it now affects the scene, and you watch the scene the second time and it's a totally different feeling that you have. And that is something that's meant to be watched more than once. You watch it once and you get this weird feeling about it, and you watch it the second time and it'll either make you laugh or scare you or bring you to tears. So, beautiful thing that Lynch does, and one of the reasons why he's my favorite director. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent. Right back to the community. So we all have to remember at this time that you know, expectations might not be met, but ultimately Twin Peaks is back. That's the greatest expectation that was met. We all have different lives, different maybe incomes, different political beliefs, different social beliefs, but there's one thing we have in common, and that's Twin Peaks. And if something happens between you guys and it's beyond repair, then let it go, walk away, don't go there again, and everything should be fine. But I think that there's really nothing that beyond our love for Twin Peaks and my passion for talking about it. So I'm all down with being friends with everybody and everyone having a welcoming attitude, and we're all friends, and we can criticize thought, and we can be vocal about it. And if you want to be mean about it, that's cool, that's great. That's your prerogative, and if people want to waste time doing that, that's a waste of time. So I think everybody should just get along and invite each other and invite the perspectives and live and learn and enjoy it. It's Twin Peaks. We got it back. Yay. Now to the podcasts and videos. This podcast I listened to drove me insane. Now, you have your right to your own perspective, but if you're not enjoying the return, maybe you shouldn't be doing a podcast on it or talking about it. Now, some of these sites, they do movie reviews, they do TV reviews, so they're forced to do Twin Peaks. Some of them hilariously don't know anything about anything. And those can be so funny. Oh my God. The people that think you can just watch the pilot, watch season 1, watch season 2, watch Fire Walk Me In, and jump right into the return and have a grasp on everything that's going on. That's funny. That's not going to happen. But it's okay. You can still do a podcast on it if you want. I'm going to be frustrated when I listen to it, because it's maddening. It's like little things like they have no idea what the convenience store is all about. What is this? What's the convenience store all about? Well, Twin Peaks fans really don't technically know what the convenience store is about, but we know why it's there, and we have a feeling about it. There's a reason why it's there. It was brought up in the pilot. It was brought up in the film. But if you only watch those things once, you don't remember. You haven't had 25 years to think about it and come up with your own interpretations. And the real discussion is usually, what does the convenience store signify? Acknowledging that it belongs there, it exists there. It's the people that see it and are like, what the fuck, with somebody stopping for gas? What's going on here? That just drives me crazy. Another thing is calling the Roadhouse the Bang Bang Bar. The sign says the Bang Bang Bar, but when they answer the phone, it's the Roadhouse. Nobody says we're going to the Bang Bang Bar. The Bang Bang Bar has never been vocalized in any version of Twin Peaks film, book, the series. The Bang Bang Bar has never been vocalized once. So, okay, it's the Roadhouse. Okay. Little things like that are just nitpicky, and I'm not going to make too much of a big deal about it. But I do want to express my frustrations about this stuff. Another thing that drives me crazy is not paying attention to the details. When Richard Horne, for instance, was first introduced, he was just this guy sitting in the Roadhouse smoking in a non-smoking section, right? I assume the whole building is non-smoking, but he just happened to be doing it in front of the sign. And there's a lot of discussion about it. This guy, and it was driving me crazy because it clearly said in the credits he had a name, Richard Horne, and these were two names that had to be discussed. Horne, oh my goodness, the implications. We're talking about a jerk sitting at a bar smoking a cigarette, and what the whole scene meant when he grabbed the women. When I'm banging my head on the wall saying, oh, the giant said Richard, and this is a Richard, and the credit said he was a Horne, and it just drove me nuts. Like, I can't believe you're going to talk about Twin Peaks and you didn't read the credits. You have to read the credits. The credits have given you clues. The credits have given you a lot of clues so far. You notice Machen Amy is credited as Shelley. There's no last name. They haven't mentioned anything about that. Other than that, you see her wearing a necklace with what appears to be a wedding ring, a ring on it, and they didn't give her a last name. This just from the credits opens up so many questions. Is she married to Bobby still? Are they divorced? Are they separated? Is that why she still keeps the ring? Is that Leo's ring? Which she probably not. She would have thrown that thing away. I mean, you know, Mr. Sock Soap. I'd love to know what's going on with Leo. I was really disappointed when Eric DeRay wasn't in the casting. But anyway, let me go on. I've been on 20 minutes now. Let me finish up with the podcast and the videos. So, you know, if you're doing videos and you're covering things, TV and stuff and movies, and you're thrown into this, you know, and you're giving it a chance, at least you're giving it a chance. You almost have to. You're forced to watch it, right? So give it a chance and talk about it. And if there's some things you don't understand and some things you don't like, that's your prerogative. But just know I'm screaming the whole time. You know, there's a difference between the ones that haven't seen everything or have only seen things once. And I enjoy their perspectives because I'm interested in seeing what somebody who's going in blind has to say about it. But the ones that love Twin Peaks and are put off by what's happening with, especially the more Lynchian direction. I actually heard somebody say David Lynch is just too Lynchian. You think? You think he's a little too Lynchian? His name is David Lynch, and he's Lynchian. Yeah, it's got to be difficult to be a Twin Peaks fan and not a David Lynch fan. God, that's got to be maddening. Right now, oh my goodness, with the whole references to Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead. Yeah, got to be maddening. I mean, I'm going to let you know when, in part 3, when Cooper is in the Moave room or the power station or however you want to describe it, and he first notices that thing on the wall. I see it and I'm like, okay, what is that? And the second time I see it, I know exactly what it is because of Fire Walk With Me and the references to electricity. That is a socket, a plug-in socket, big ass thing on the wall. Oh my God. And when he got next to it and he started getting sucked into it and he was all horizontal to the ground and going in, I was cheering because I thought this is beautiful. Oh God, Lynch went there, man. You want to talk about electricity? How about going in the socket? And the other part, in part 3 that had me cheering was when Dougie puked. I was like, man, look at that mess of stuff. It almost kind of looks like cream corn. But when Mr. C started puking, and it was just shooting out of him, and it was obvious right out of the gate, it was cream corn and oil. I was cheering. I stood up. My arms went up in the air. Oh my God, he did it. They actually eat that. Now, how are you going to walk in blind and understand any of that? That was the grossest throw up I ever saw in my life. And there's actually meaning to it. There's a meaning to the cream corn. There's a meaning to the oil. And part of what drove me crazy was people were talking about the cream corn and they never mentioned the oil. I might have listened to 40 different videos and podcasts and only a couple of them mentioned the oil. And it was pretty obvious to me, but it's little details like that. And I think, oh God. So I want to contribute to the conversation because I'm thinking about things and I do listen to a lot of the other stuff. And thank God we have a community that we can listen to and learn and get ideas from. I heard one guy's opinion about why Major Briggs is only the same age he was 25 years ago, why that's possible. And his idea sparked an idea in my head. And all of a sudden, this is almost like a belief for me now. Like, unless I'm proven wrong, this is what I'm going with. And that's how Twin Peaks is. It's left up to the viewer's perspective. So please respect everybody else. You can attack the thought. Just don't attack the person. Everybody be nice. I send comments to people sometimes and I tell them what I think was wrong with the program, and I don't mean any harm. I'm just trying to be a fan. If you want to keep Twin Peaks fans, you might want to limit how much BS you say about Lynch, and how much BS you talk about what you're watching, because people don't watch a Twin Peaks review because they want to hear it get bashed. Now, you don't have to cater to the people, but I'm just giving you some friendly advice. They're not going to tune in. I made that suggestion to a site, and the next few videos, they laid off of Lynch, and they actually seemed to open up their minds a little more to the idea. I don't know if my comment sparked it or not, but I realized that they quit doing it, and so therefore I kept watching. And what's hilarious is they cover lots of stuff. Their videos usually get 100 to 500 likes, and their Twin Peaks videos views, about 500 views at the most, and their Twin Peaks videos are getting 2,000, 3,000 views. So they're sticking to it, whether they like it or not. And since you're not bashing Lynch, and you're not talking crap about the show every episode, I'm going to listen to now. And there are some shows that don't stick to the topic. They can be interesting, as long as it's about Twin Peaks or David Lynch. As long as whatever you're talking about factors in some way back into Twin Peaks, it's fine. But I don't tune into a Twin Peaks video to hear about personal issues and what so-and-so said, and then next thing you know, 20 minutes is going by, and all I've heard is about this problem you have with your friend, who probably shouldn't be your friend. And then, these issues, they just, I can't describe it. It would be like incriminating, but no one wants to hear about your health issues. No one wants to watch you eat. No one wants to hear you eat when you're talking. You're going to start a podcast to talk about Twin Peaks and press record and then grab a bag of chips. Oh, God, I did it. Okay. I'm not going to say anything else, but I'm leaving you some friendly advice. I'm a fan of Twin Peaks. I spend all week long when I get off of work, I spend time with my family, and then when they decide to go and do their thing, the kid plays video games, the wife watches TV, and I'll listen to podcasts. And as many as there are, I'm going to listen to them. So I'll keep tuning in to what you have to offer if it's good. I'm not going to make my podcast about the Transformers movies when I hate the Transformers movies. I'm not going to make a podcast about it unless right out of the gate I'm telling you, I hate the Transformers, let's make fun about it, or whatever. Or the Desperate Housewives of New Jersey, or Bumfuck Roanoke, or wherever. I mean, there's been advertisements. I hate commercials. I could do a whole thing on commercials. I might do separate videos just complaining about commercials. Those will have curse words in it. I can't help it. I can't stand commercials, But that would be different, But if you're reviewing Twin Peaks and you're trying to be critical about it and review other things, I expect criticism. But if you're doing a podcast and you're talking about every episode every week specifically, and you bash one, I'm not going to like it. And then if you don't do your research, you're not doing yourself a service. You're not doing the people who want to listen to it a service. I shouldn't have to scream at the TV, Jesus Christ, didn't you watch the movie? Didn't you see the secret diary pages in the series? Or you have no idea what Gorman Bozia is, and you don't know how to pronounce it, and my goodness, So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent now, but I'm going to sign off. This was fun. I just want the Twin Peaks community to get along. I want the videos to be good. I want them to have content about Twin Peaks. And I hope you guys enjoy listening to me talk about it. And I'll be talking about it again real soon.